Welcome to the Coco Lesa Podcast. The Coco Lesa Podcast is produced and brought to you by the HOH Collective.
What's going on, family?
Hi.
Yo, you sound raspy just now.
Shush.
We're keeping that.
Shush.
What's going on, family? It's been a little bit since we had a chance to get back with you, but we're glad to be here.
Only a week.
Only a week, but we have a lot going on, just like we were telling you last episode. Our brand new website, the HOHcollective.com, launches tomorrow.
Yes, we're so excited to put that out for you guys. Great content on there, so if you guys want to go check it out and sign up to our mailing list, that would be dope.
Exactly. It will be updated weekly with new blog posts, new information. It's a link to all of our podcasts, our new vlog, everything that we have going on. You can connect to all of it direct on the HOHcollective.com.
So yeah, check it out. But for today's episode, we are excited and a little angry to be bringing this episode to you. We're talking about immigration because that is the hot topic of the week.
She is more angry than I am, and that's not to say that I'm not angry. But, well, I don't know. I guess it's a touchy subject for me because it affects me a lot more, if that makes sense. But the reason that I'm not angry is because the last time I got angry at this individual that started this topic was Materia Tule.
Yeah.
And it upset me so much because that was how I found out. I was like, wow, he's a fucking snake.
Yeah.
And that's when he really showed his true colors for me.
So, yeah, who we're talking about is Duncan Garner. And as Oyeban said, he really just went above and beyond with the Materia Tule and just crucified her, vilified her, and
it was his tone. It was very negative, very vindictive, and it was very like it was a witch hunt. You know what I mean? And the thing that I didn't realize until that moment, because we used to watch the AM show, used to watch the AM show in the morning all the time, and what happens is he hides. Mark is an open bigot, and so because Mark is that way, and the rough part,
he seems okay.
The horrible part that I hate to say is Mark doesn't even mean anything by it. It's just who he is.
Exactly.
But that's what makes Duncan that much worse because he knows, and he's intelligent enough to use Mark as a shield and try and play the good guy, and then he sneaks in with all of his hateful shit. And when the Materia Tule situation happened, I was like, holy shit. And this past week he just did it all over again. And he has a blog just like we have a blog, but ours is better for people who look like us. So
no, he doesn't have a blog. He wrote an article recently. He labeled it Dear New Zealand, what do we want to look like in 20 years? And it was basically a summary of just
how he went to Kmart and he was very shaken because he must have been in botany, let's be real. And he was like, he went in Kmart and there was nothing but Asians and Indians and just there weren't enough Palangi and Pakeha and white people
pretty
for
much
him. And it made him so uncomfortable that he had no choice but to write this article because in that moment, well, probably way before that, but in that moment, immigration became a very real problem and issue for him.
Yeah, so basically just to respond to that, he can essentially go fuck himself because...
And he ended up jumping off of Twitter because the backlash that he got from people telling him to go fuck himself and to suck dicks was like tremendous and overwhelming.
Yeah, and he can legit go fuck himself because his article was so poorly written. He should have just... One line is all that was needed, and it was just to say that he's a racist and a xenophobe.
And then he tried to clean it up by saying he was going to ask his mate about it, whose house he was at, and it was a manor house in a rich neighborhood, and his mate was
No, Yeah, basically, he was like hiding behind his token brown friends, which he does continuously.
And he was like, oh, his parents were a part of the Dawn Raid, so, I'll get his take on it.
And he's just a shitbag. Secondly, no one wants to know that you wear old undies. Nobody in fucking New Zealand wants to know that you wear old undies.
You lost me on that part.
No, because that's why he went to Kmart to get undies. That's what he specified. Okay. And he was like, oh yeah, sadly I wear old, like, I just haven't bought undies in a long time, my undies are old. And I'm like, that makes no relevance to anything. And nobody needed to know that. White people care
about that shit. They do.
Nobody needed to know that.
So this is what we decided that we wanted to do, is we weren't going to talk about this episode like we were giving you hard-hitting facts and we did all the research and numbers. Like, this is our views and our opinion. And it's so funny because...
Exactly, because it's so easy for immigration, like the topic of immigration, and for immigrants to just become numbers when we're actually people. Like, it's...
Why you say we're? You were born here, weren't you?
Yeah, I know, but I feel so attacked by this. And this is like so many...
I just came out to have a good time and I feel so attacked right now.
No, this is like so many Asians that I've read their comments on Facebook, on Twitter. They were born here, but they feel so attacked by Duncan Garner's article because their parents are immigrants.
And he's the voice of so many Palangi, and I've heard those statements so many times, and we've heard these statements on so many different subjects. And I played a video for Okasan where someone sent in email to another morning show, and she was like, well, if the Maori want their own place so bad, then they should just get their own island or be put on their own island when it's just them.
Exactly.
And they really just pointed out her idiocy, and they were like, yeah, well, if you understand history, that's exactly what happened. And then the Pākehā came, and look how that worked out for them.
Hilarious.
And we've talked about it before, that entitlement that they feel, like they really feel and believe this is their country and their place. And we have talked about it because you really don't understand that mindset until you look at something as simple as a medical form, and one of the racial designations is New Zealand
European.
That's not a real thing, but that speaks to their level of entitlement.
Exactly, like they have a claim to New Zealand while everyone else who has been here for generations
are outsiders
as well, like
and don't
Chinese.
belong there. And that's why subconsciously so many of them hate the Maori and Maori culture so strongly, because they know that they've stolen from them, that it doesn't belong to them, that these are the rightful, what I mean, people of New Zealand.
So hilarious is that we make so much fun of like Americans who have no clue of their own history and what
their xenophobic culture.
And we have that same shit going on here in New Zealand. And this election has really highlighted.
It has. And this is, I even got some of the Asian experience because I'm an expatriate, and so I have to do my visa paperwork and all of those things on a regular basis. And when we did our most recent round of visa paperwork, we were very fortunate because the doctor's office that I went to for my medical was primarily one of the Asian only facilities, and they mostly serviced their community, and they were super friendly, and the price was really affordable, and I was really thankful for them. But I was talking to one of the examiners, and she was like, we're packed right now. And I said, why? And she said, because this is school season, and when the school season ends, there's a lot of people that rush to try and get in their visas, because if they don't get them in time, they don't let them stay. It doesn't matter if they've been educated here or not. And so the doctor's office was packed, and so people do live with a very real fear of thing. So something that we said that we were gonna do is go off of the facts that we knew, in terms of why there is such a big population. And it's not even just people wanting a better life for themselves and for their families, and that is a lot of it too. That is why immigration happens, opportunity. But a point that they were making during the elections, and this was Bill English, because Jacinda Ardern is not about that immigration shit. She wants to drop it, but Bill English said, and even they had to come back at Jacinda with it, the growth and stability that's happened in New Zealand's market has only happened because of immigration, because a lot of people...
And this is not just a new thing. This
no, it's
is
not.
The history of New Zealand, in which our economy has It is immigrants that have made it.
I remember, listen, so one of the most racist places in the world to me and for me and in my mind will always be Australia. And I remember I was still living in New York.
Extremely racist.
Yeah, I was still living in New York, and it was before I had transitioned, and a friend of mine, who's gay and hilarious, and I love him, got married to a lesbian from Australia so that she could stay in the States because she was an expatriate and an immigrant there. And the only way for her to legally stay was to get married. And so, her parents were there from Australia, and I was telling them, how much I love New Zealand and I couldn't wait to move there. And they said the most casually racist shit that you hear from Palangi all the time. And they were like, oh, we love New Zealand as well, but the people from there really need to stay there and focus on working on their own economy because they're coming over to to Australia, and they're swelling up our system, and they're really just making a hard time for us, and they really should focus on working harder to make their country better and stay in their own home. And that is the Palangi and Pakeha and white sentiment everywhere, whether it's them talking about people migrating from New Zealand to Australia or from Samoa to fucking New Zealand. Like, that's how they feel everywhere, and none of these places are their country. But again, coming back into it, so this isn't that long ago that we just had a very real issue where the system and the economy in Aotearoa was trash. It was real bad. And you still have a lot of people, even with the improvements in the economy that have been made, still can't earn livable wages and can't do a lot of things that are capable of their places, And so for us to be able to say, on all sides of the fence, New Zealand first, the National, and what's Jacinda's party? Oh, Labour, to say that the only reason this has come up is because immigration, and to want to keep people out, like, that's a really backwards mindset, you know what I mean? Because you have a lot of jobs, and this is the same thing in America. When it comes to America and they say, oh, the Mexicans are stealing our jobs, the Mexicans are stealing anybody's fucking jobs. The Mexicans are working jobs that Americans feel too high and mighty to work, and that they don't want to fucking do. They're working 40, 60, 80 hours a week. I didn't even know you could do that, but they're working cleaning fucking toilets and doing fast food jobs and construction and shit like that.
There are so many New Zealand employers that have said that they don't want to hire their own New Zealanders because they're just not, they don't really show up to work on time.
It's a twofold process. Either they don't want to do the work,
exactly,
or they don't do the work properly. Like, they don't feel like doing it. They feel they want to get paid. They don't want to work the entitlement. And so you have companies that bust their ass and beg and will hire foreigners instantly because these are people that are gonna do the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's multiple companies. And this is something that Kiwis don't feel good about and that they don't want to respond to, but it's a very real issue and is why there's such a need. One of the comics that they tried to slam Jacinda Ardern on over and over again was, you keep saying you want Kiwis to have these jobs and you're going to make these jobs for Kiwis, but Kiwis don't want them. And even if they did, you don't have enough Kiwis to work all the jobs that you're going to create.
Exactly.
So how do you want to close off immigration and still create new jobs?
Mm-hmm. And what's funny is that, well, it's not really funny, but the media have really put out there that this year alone, there have been 70,000 immigrants pretty much coming to New Zealand. But what they haven't really shown is that 35,000 of them are actually New Zealanders returning from living overseas and deciding to stay here. So it's not 70,000 or just
and it's so
people.
Funny because this is how you come into the media being spin doctors and giving you the information the way they want to do it. Because when we were in the election, that was a point of pride. Oh no, they're returning home and they're coming back because we have a future for them again, and we've made this future for them, so they want to be here. But then when they want to paint it in a negative light, they're painting them as immigrants who aren't from here in the first place.
And one thing Duncan Garner didn't mention, which is why he is such a racist. Not a racist.
He's a bigot. He's racist and a bigot.
He mentioned, he's a snake. He mentioned in his article pretty much Sri Lankans, Pakistan, Syrians, Asians, but he did not mention the 13,000 Europeans from the UK that come here every year.
Listen, okay, exactly. Let's talk about the Europeans from the UK. Let's talk about the South Africans that are here in fucking abundance. You can't spit without hitting a South African. Okay, I know I sound a little rough. I'm just saying, but accurate all the same. But no, and it's serious.
But apparently, it's the Asians and the brown people that are the problem. New Zealand has had such a racist history with immigration dating back to the time when it was labeled New Zealand. It's just from the dawn raids, etc. Like my own,
it's so funny. Like my view so my view on this is different for different reasons. And one, it's because I don't have any complaints about the system because I get a lot of privilege. One, because I strictly work high-paying jobs. Two, I'm a small business owner. You know what I mean? And three, I have a U.S. passport and I have Canadian residency. And so I get treated differently than a lot of people do when it comes to immigration, because I am what most countries look for, and that's an economic stimulant. Like, yes, I create dollars.
You may have they may not, like, there's no bias for you coming into the country, but when you're here and you go outside your house, white people look at you like you're the burden on this country. So you're the reason.
So from the government point of view, I don't get an issue. But just open everyday racism, I experience that every single day. But that's primarily immigrant experiences. Because I'm telling you, I don't live like that in Welly. I'm telling you, like, I just don't have that experience.
Yes, you do. You just had better support in Wellington.
Okay, fair enough.
But racism is rampant across all of New Zealand.
Christchurch was very awkward for us and very uncomfortable. That is accurate. And then the other reason that I have a little bit of a different view on this is because just in terms of Hawaii, because it's rough, because our population has grown so much that, like, if we were to get rid of all the people who aren't from there and send them all back to their country, the Palangi, the Japanese, like everybody, there wouldn't be enough native Hawaiians to run everything that's been built up. But my people, like, they are still, the Kanaka Maoli are the most disenfranchised people on the entire island. So what the fuck does it matter? How does the industry and revenue benefit them? It doesn't benefit them. Kanaka Maoli have the highest rate of homelessness, the highest rate of unemployment. They have their land stolen from them on a regular basis by people who are business owners and millionaires and want to live in Hawaii because it's beautiful, and they come in there and they buy up the land that people don't have the legal money to defend and not have stolen from them. You know what I mean? And so if you're Maori or you're Kanaka Maoli and you have an issue with immigration, then that's a different fucking story.
And it's really hard because our Maori people, they almost never get a say in immigration, and it's their land, and that just really frustrates me. They don't.
It's the heart of the situation.
Exactly.
Like, the people that are affected by it the most, the people that have the most say in it, actually get the least say in it. And this ties back into the beginning of the conversation with that Palangi and that Pakeha and that white entitlement and that anger. So they fight a twofold battle. One is trying to keep more people from color of coming in, and the second is shouting down the people of color that actually own the land and trying to look at what they do to the Aboriginals and what they've done to the Aboriginals for generations. Look at the rabbit-proof fence, coming to their country, killing them, taking their land, drugging them, turning them into addicts and drunks and things like this, with things that didn't exist in their culture before. And then after they've disenfranchised them for generations, they paint this picture of, oh, well, they're just going to swell up the welfare rolls, so why should we, give them back anything?
Exactly.
And I didn't do this to them. This was my ancestor, so why should I be judged for it?
Yeah, I'm so sick to death of brown people, like brown immigrants, being the scapegoat for fucking everything. Housing crisis, it's the immigrants, it's the brown people. There's too many of them in South Auckland, there's too many of them in Auckland. That's why there's no houses available, like welfare. There's too many of them on welfare, not enough of them in jobs, doing good jobs. Poverty, it's their own fault they're in poverty. They're not working hard enough. They need to go get an education, blah, blah, blah.
You sound like you've heard this a couple times.
Exactly. I'm just so sick to death of brown people, brown immigrants being the scapegoats for fucking poor planning, poor, like, domestic Auckland planning.
And I mean, the one thing that I will say, like we said, this is more a conversation that deserves to happen and get the Maori view on it. You know what I mean? And they deserve to have a stronger voice in government. But on the flip side, which is kind of hilarious, when brown people move to a new country where there's one brown person, there's quite often 10 because we bring our entire families with us.
Yeah, but that too is extremely hard. Do you know how hard it is to uproot your whole family and bring them over?
It's very expensive too, yeah.
So, while Duncan Garner can sit on his high horse and call people snowflakes for being too precious about his article, there are actual immigrants out there who, like, for example, I feel a way about this because my grandpa was deported during the Dawn raids. Well, he was deported because he was they thought he was his brother, but he wasn't. He didn't snitch, so he was deported.
I have so much love and respect for your grandpa. Yo, we don't snitch. We don't believe in that. But anyway,
he didn't snitch.
Her favorite uncle that I love, I treasure this man in my heart and soul. This nigga has been deported how many times?
I don't remember. But
yo, they got him. They got him a couple times, and he made it back. My nigga, I'm so happy he made it back. I love that motherfucker. I miss him. You know what I mean? But yo, so like it's very real. I fortunately have never been deported from any country that I've lived in. Very thankful for that. Because once you get deported from one country, my nigga, they watch you in all the countries.
Exactly. But immigration is such a tough topic. Like, yes, you can talk about the housing crisis and how more planning needs to be done there, about our roads and how it's congested and how more planning needs to be done there. You can talk about everything like that, but it does not you don't have to race bait when you talk about these topics. It's just, and that's exactly what Duncan Garner did.
See, and the difference also is, I think we're talking about this from a person-to-person aspect, and you're talking about the human part of the issue, which is why we have a different view on refugees. But I think the point that makes this such an angry topic is a lot of people that discuss it from a place of ignorance and not even from a governmental perspective and don't know what they're talking about. And so this is a lot of the Trump argument too, like, oh, he's a businessman, he'll run the country properly, he'll run it like a business, and they don't understand how business works and how those things work. And so it is, if it wasn't scapegoating, it would be a different conversation. But because it is, that's what makes it an issue for me. Because never mind, I'll leave it there, but yeah.
What has really disgusted me is that Duncan Garner, much like Donald Trump, I don't want to make the comparison, but yep, there it is. Much like Donald Trump, has made white people feel brave enough to come out and say such blatant things like their Kiwi way of life is being threatened. And that's exactly how it is, how Donald Trump makes white Americans feel, like their American dream is being threatened by these immigrants. But it's just blatantly not true.
It's bullshit and it's a lie and it's race baiting and it's
divisive and it's
and all
disgusting.
That crazy shit.
So when he can just sit there and quit Twitter because of the putrid foul language that he's, like, the abuse that's been thrown his way, bloody immigrants, they can't quit their fucking lives and go outside and have white people not look at them disgustingly.
I'm still
like
waiting for somebody to throw a dildo at him. We need more of that happening. I'm waiting for it to happen to Bill. I'm waiting for it to happen to Duncan. You know what I mean? If it's stick with the standard that was set and defined. You know what I mean? This is a Kiwi tradition. We throw dildos at people that deserve them. Big pink dildos. Let's make it happen.
So the sex toy industry is
boom.
booming.
It's about to boom. It's
so
about
we need
to
to
boom.
get
Let's invest now. Yes, let's do this. And I think that's pretty good on immigration. I feel good with that. You feel good with that?
Yeah, so all in all, fuck Duncan Garner.
Yeah, and that's where we're pretty much at with this episode. You guys should definitely hit us up and let us know how you feel. Hey, guess what? There's a place that you can do that now. You can go to the HOHcollective.com, and it gives you links to all our social. It has our email, and you can email us from there. Also, we have a message board now, and you can leave us comments and let us know what you think about the episodes, and we'll start blogging about the episodes as well, and talking about the things we talked about. So, thank you for being with us, guys. Malo for coming in, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for the follows, guys. Keep it up. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you soon.